So I want to go back just a little bit and talk about Act 77 a little bit more for our viewers who maybe still don't really understand what this is all about. So Act 77 was put in place, I believe, in October of 2019. So this was even before all the restrictions coming down for COVID. And both of you gentlemen were opposed to it. Now, why was Act 77 instituted in the first place? I mean, what led to this? I know there are other states that allow mail-in ballots, but what led to Act 77? Because as you mentioned, Commissioner Parsons, the Constitution says, and the way it was, the judge ruled recently that Section 1 of the Article on Elections calls for an actual in-person voting, bringing your ballot in, and there's specific regulations in there that if you can't, you can get that absentee ballot. So it's very clear, it's laid out pretty clearly that, hey, there is an option for what we might consider a mail-in ballot, absentee ballot type of thing, but that's the exception, and it must be for a certain reason. And those reasons are pretty broad. I mean, it's even religious holidays, your work, physical disability. Some of those things that were mentioned at the May 16th meeting were already in the Constitution. Why did Act 77 come up? I know there's a lot to that. You weren't the legislators, but why did this come up, you think?
Well, all I know is what I've been told, which is, there was interest from Republican legislators to get rid of the straight party ballot, and then there was interest from Democrats in expanding mail-in voting. And there had been discussions about doing a referendum to change the Pennsylvania Constitution. And really, in my view, and in the view of the Commonwealth Court that recently struck this down, that's now before the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, but in that view, you have to do a referendum and you have to change the Pennsylvania Constitution because, as you noted, I mean, it specifically says in here, what an absentee ballot is, and the mail-in ballot is not that. So the mail-in ballot is basically a no-excuse mail-in ballot, whereas an absentee ballot, you have to meet one of those specific criteria that's articulated in the Pennsylvania Constitution. So we had concerns early on because of that, but also, county commissioners all across Pennsylvania run elections. So we know the logistics of elections, and we had concerns about that. Around the same time, the governor was also forcing every county, was decertifying every county's election machine, forcing counties to get new election machines at the same time that this law was going into place. So I actually went on TV and said I thought that Pennsylvania could be like Florida in the year 2000 with the hanging Chad. And, I'm sad that I was right about that. I wish I hadn't been, but that's really what has happened. Every election cycle, there is some problem around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I'm chairman of the Republican caucus of county commissioners in Pennsylvania. So all the Republican commissioners, and we control 54 out of 67 county courthouses throughout Pennsylvania. And at our last meeting, they voted unanimously to ask the legislature to repeal Act 77. So these are the people that are experts in running elections, and they're saying that this is a problem and we need to reset. And if you want to do something incremental after that, let's talk about that, but we need to reset this whole law.